Hello, my juicy peaches, and welcome back to my channel. It's your priestess Peaches here, supporting you to live your juiciest life and co-create a heavenly world. It is Wellbeing Wednesday, and as you may know, that for me is not just my own well-being or your well-being, it is the well-being of Mother Earth and all the living beings on the planet. And so today we are getting into a juicy topic about conscious living. I want to have an open, thoughtful, honest conversation about something I have personally reflected on very, very deeply, and that is spiritual bypassing when it comes to using animals for our consumption. This isn't about judging or shaming anyone. This is just about bringing awareness to something that can often get overlooked. And I've seen this being overlooked even in highly conscious spiritual communities as well. And it really got me thinking. So I will explain. Spiritual bypassing is when we use spiritual beliefs to avoid addressing difficult truths. It allows us to sidestep responsibility for things by kind of framing it as if it's meant to be and that it's okay. When it comes to using animals for our consumption, these kind of things can look like, oh, the animal chose into that life path. The animal's soul chose into that life path and experience. So that means it's okay for me to harm them. That means it's okay for this to happen, for them to suffer, for them to be killed, for them to be exploited and used and abused, because the animal soul chose into the experience. So another one could be, oh, the animal gave itself up to be killed, and so therefore we must kill it. Another one could be, death is an illusion, so who cares if we kill them? Another one is, from source perspective, there's no wrong or right. Another one I've heard is, animals don't really suffer because they are just vessels. And another one is, well, religious scripture or the Bible says it's okay to eat animals, so I'm going to continue to do it. So these kind of beliefs are all spiritual bypassing, and this really got me thinking. Most people want to live in a heavenly world where it is free from harm, free from violence, free from unnecessary suffering and exploitation and killing. And in order to do that, we need to align with our values of kindness, respect, compassion, love, empathy, those higher emotional states of being. And so how do these bypassing beliefs actually align with those core values within a person? How does believing these spiritually bypassing things align with kindness, respect, compassion, love, empathy? There's another part of this conversation that most people don't even think about, and that is the sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, and sexual violence that these animals go through. And really, these industries are harnessing the reproductive systems and sexual energy of animals in order to breed them into existence for people's consumption. Most people think of the exploitation of animals in terms of the killing of animals, but what about the way they are bred into existence in the first place? When animals are made to mate by forcible means and by artificial techniques, it's a form of sexual violence, it's a form of sexual abuse and exploitation. And we would never tolerate that for humans, right? And especially if those humans were completely innocent and incapable of consenting and unable to speak up for themselves. And especially if those humans were depending on people to care for them. Breeding animals into existence for consumption by sexually abusive means is not the same as the circle of life that you hear people speaking about. That is not the same as the natural circle of life that happens in nature or in tribal communities, or that you hear people speak of. This is human interference on a monumental level, controlling the reproductive systems and sexual energy of innocent beings for profit and for greed and for gratification, selfish gratification. If we believe that someone or animals choose their life path, does that make it acceptable for them to be forcibly sexually abused? Would we apply that same logic to any other form of sexual violation. I know what I'm saying can be quite triggering and confronting, and so I just want to encourage you to stay with me, because I am going to speak more about things that are uncomfortable to speak about, but I trust that you can hear this information and make up your own mind with what I'm saying. But what about a child? Even if, let's say, a soul chose into an experience of abuse, suffering, and torture, does that mean that then there is no free will for the abuser to choose to alter that path and not abuse? Does it mean it's okay for the abuse to happen and for the abuser to abuse? Even if that child in later life receives lessons, blessings, value, and positive character traits, in part due to the abuse that they endured, does that mean that the abuse is okay? Does that mean that the abuser had the right to abuse? Does that mean that the abuser is okay to go ahead and abuse? To me, this way of thinking, this spiritually bypassing way of thinking, can be a form of deep denial, and it can be a form of avoidance and dismissiveness, and even victim blaming. It absolves the responsibility of the perpetrators and almost excuses their behavior. I certainly don't accept that belief system when it comes to suffering, when it comes to human suffering, and most people wouldn't accept that belief system when it comes to human suffering, that, okay, well, because the child's soul chose into that experience, that means that it's okay, and that means that the abuse should happen. I'm sure most people can see that that's not okay. Even if you could argue that that child grew up to receive benefits from that experience as a person, that still doesn't make it okay or necessary. That person could have experienced those benefits, lessons, character traits from other things other than the abuse. What I'm trying to say here is, if we don't accept that spiritual bypassing beliefs for an innocent child, why are we accepting those beliefs for other innocent sentient beings, the animals? If we truly stand for kindness, respect, compassion, a heavenly world, and for justice, and to not victimize, then surely we must be willing to extend that same care to the most vulnerable beings on the planet, which is the animals. I just really question how the sexual abuse, exploitation, torture, suffering of these innocent sentient beings on a mass, colossal scale due to human intervention, I just wonder how that can be considered natural and okay. From what I can see, this is humans playing God. Well, in my opinion, it's more likely the work of the devil here. So choosing to actually live and behave and make choices in alignment with your core values, with what you actually want to see in the world, has profound benefits, not just for the animals, but for ourselves and for the planet. When we consume in a way that actually supports life rather than exploiting it and killing it and harming it, we experience more vitality and energy. So no longer consuming the suffering of animals means that our bodies actually feel lighter. They become lighter and more vibrant. Another one is sexual energy activation. This is something I've experienced since being vegan. A real deep connection with my sexual energy and an activation of that life force, life-giving, creative energy within me. Eating those higher vibrational plant foods that actually hold a lot of light in them really aligns with the life-giving nature of our sexual energy. Our sexual energy is life-giving. So living in alignment with that, you will probably become more in tune with your own sexual energy. We can experience mental and emotional clarity. Often when we are living from a space of avoidance, dismissiveness, bypassing, cognitive dissonance, suppressing our true values, there can be a lot of muddying of our emotions, our mental health. And it takes a lot of energy to lie to ourselves day in, day out, and to take action and to behave in a way that is lying to ourselves takes so much energy. It is an energy leak and an energy drain. And so when you remove this harm-based consumption, you free up energetic space within you. Also, it can create deeper self-awareness, and you can activate your intuition as well, even more deeply. You become attuned to your intuition and you will have a sense of inner peace. The last one I'm going to share is about the harmonious planetary impact you will have. The less we rely on animal agriculture, the less strain we place on our environment, leading to a healthier planet. When we consume life-giving foods, we align with the flow of abundance, vitality, and true nourishment, both energetically and physically, and in the world. I just want to mention here about free range and hunting and things like that, because I know a lot of people will say, I can't be vegan and I choose sustainable free range animals and I don't eat them that often because I have to for my health and protein and iron or whatever it is. And I know that many people believe that if they only eat free range or they hunt their own animals, that they're making a sustainable and ethical choice. But the reality is that that's not scalable for everybody. So, okay, it is a better choice, obviously, than factory farmed animals, but it's not a scalable solution for humanity. That is not sustainable. If everybody was to do that, the amount of animals people consume, if everybody was to be like, oh, I'm going to eat free range, grass-fed, sustainable, or hunt my own animals to eat, that the planet would collapse with that kind of demand. So it's actually not the true answer to, or the true solution to these issues. Like I said, this isn't about judgment or wronging or blaming or shaming or anything like that. It is about raising awareness, asking questions, self-inquiry, seeing what is true for you, and really questioning yourself deeply around these topics so that you can live in a highly conscious way that is in alignment with who you want to be and what you want to see in the world. It's about asking ourselves if our choices truly align with the values that we claim to hold. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you are on your journey. Are you vegan? Have you started to reduce the amount of animals and their secretions that you consume in your life and in your diet? Have you come across people who spiritually bypass in order to excuse themselves from eating animals when you know deep down they don't want to be doing it? What's your experience of spiritual bypassing in general? Let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. If you liked this video, then please feel free to check out my playlist on this channel, and also stay tuned because I'm uploading 2 videos a week at least at the moment. So yeah, you can receive more juicy content from me. And also, if you like this video, then please feel free to give it a thumbs up and write a comment, because it really does help grow this channel. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel so you can become part of this juicy community. Obviously, always be kind and compassionate in the comments below. So my juicy peaches, I'm going to go now, and I'm wishing you an amazing day, and remember to keep it juicy. Bye.